egotistical, so unpredictable, here on the SNL Network.
Yes, welcome on in, everybody, to the SNL Network, beginning a new tradition here at the network. So excited to be here for our SNL Season 48 cast draft. This is an idea that brewed out of previous drafts we have done here at the network, which were a part of our Superfan Takeover series, one of the great series that we do on the SNL Network. And we've done some really fun drafts, including drafting hosts who have never appeared on Saturday Night Live. That was the previous one that we did earlier this summer. We've also drafted cast. We've also drafted hosts who have been hosted or have hosted the show before. So there's a lot of different fun drafts we've done. And if you are a draft person, this is the place for you. Welcome on in. If you have missed our previous show that we did on Monday night, we did our full Season 48 preseason roundtable where I got together with some of the greatest SNL minds there is to talk about all of the major storylines heading into the new season of Saturday Night Live beginning this Saturday night with Miles Teller and Kendrick Lamar. We are so excited for that. So just a few more days to go. I know the table read pick just dropped on social media. So that's the first sign of new SNL 48 content. It's very exciting. But for tonight, we have business to attend to. And I'm going to explain all the rules of our draft in just a moment. But for now, I have to introduce the competitors that we have here on the draft. And I'll start with my friend, Nicole Rovine, who is always competitive during these drafts. Nicole, how are you?
Yes, amazing introduction. I'm always competitive in general, period. And then on the drafts, of course, I'm good. I'm excited. This one will be very interesting. Very interesting. I'm excited. And I see some faces who I particularly enjoy being competitive with. So I'm excited. TJ is really who I'm talking about. I'm excited.
Yeah, I think this is the first draft we've ever done live, so I expect to see lots of live chaos as we get through the draft tonight. And somebody who loves chaos is Andrew Haskell. So Haskell, how are you?
I'm doing good. I mean, hey, season 1, we were facing cancellation here on the Superfan Takeover. Then we had these drafts. All of a sudden, we're one of the hottest shows on the network. Like, let's do this.
Yeah, look at you. All because of you, Haskell. And look, and I love the shirt too. Going back to season 1, you're wearing the old school SNL Stats shirt. So speaking of branding, I have some branding news, but we're going to save that for the end of the show. So we'll talk about that after the draft is done. Joining us for the second time this week on the SNL Network, it is the legendary Bill Kenney. Bill, how are you?
Doing great, John. I'm excited and honored to be here twice in a week. Sure to pick picks that won't work out. So going to do that twice in a row.
Just like your Cowboys. Okay.
We won.
All right. Moving to the bottom row of the draft, and the order will be switched up. We'll explain how the order works in just a moment. It is the leader of the Superfan Takeovers. He's the host for all of those shows, which you will catch on SNL off weeks this coming season. It is Sammy Kay. Sammy, how are you?
John, I'm doing great. I'm so excited for tonight's draft. And I'm also very excited about my new picture in the thumbnail. I finally updated that after this being my third season on the network. So, it's I'm happy to have my LinkedIn picture no longer on many YouTube videos online. So it's very exciting for me.
Very excited for you to have the beard in the picture. It's a sign of maturity, Sammy. So love it. You're a man now. Okay, over to my friend Andrew Haynes, who is here. Haynes, so excited to be back with you for year number 3 on the podcast. How are you doing?
Thrilled to be back. So excited about SNL dropping this weekend, obviously. Loving seeing you guys on a Wednesday. Wednesdays are my special day that I take my grandfather a pineapple milkshake. And so that is, it's my favorite, one of my favorite days of the week. And I love that I get to hang out with you guys afterwards. This is great. Okay. It's so wholesome. It's a wholesome day for me.
All right. Why pineapple?
He's just pineapple. First of all, great question. Pineapple it's just his thing. He's just always been into pineapple. For his birthday, he gets a pineapple cake every summer. For 4th of July, we make 2 flavors of ice cream, homemade ice cream, and one of them is always pineapple. It's just a family tradition for like 50 years or something. So we're pineapple people.
Got it. Pineapple people, the Haynes people. All right. Got it. Over to my man, TJ Randolph, who is always here, ready to cause some chaos. TJ, how are you?
Okay, causing some chaos. Okay, that's how you introduce me? What happened to the great? Don't disrespect me like that, John. But I'm Black blessed and highly favored to be here. And even though I'm rocking an SNL hoodie right now, and I just bought a new a new HBO. What is this network? NBC Plush. Behind me,
NBC Plus.
I know. What's going on with me?
No,
I'm happy to
NBC
be
Plush,
NBC
right?
Plush. Nick, shut up, Nicole.
Well, it's already
So
started.
that would be one
Yes.
of the Plus networks needs to do that. Like Disney Plus Plush, they need to do that. That's so cute.
Anyways, while I'm happy to be podcasting, me and NBC, we're not talking right now. I would throw something at it, but I'm not good at stunts because I do this podcast. I have to have Peacock for the next 9 months. But congrats to Universal for getting 9 months of my money, so we can talk about SNL.
You see, NBC, we're doing so much for you, including making our panelists get Peacock. So
Yeah,
hope you're proud of us.
enjoy it. Enjoy every bit of it, Universal.
Yes. Okay. And breaking her SNL Network draft virginity, it is Rebecca North. Rebecca, how are you?
I'm so
John,
excited
what?
to lose my virginity tonight.
What?
I can't wait. I was causing chaos between Nicole and Sammy at the Emmys viewing party about their host draft picks. So I'm excited to be able to cause chaos, like being in the draft myself. So thanks for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. And of course, you might see that we are missing our friend Hallie, who is usually with us on the draft podcast. She was not able to join us tonight, but we will hope to have her back another time. And Rebecca is a very suitable replacement on the draft podcast. So excited to see how she will do because Hallie is always a great competitor. Okay. So let's talk about the rules of the draft tonight and exactly how it is going to work here for our cast draft. It's the first time we're ever doing this. And we currently have, as we know, 17 cast members on the show. 16 cast members will be drafted. I guess we'll give the 17th to you, the chat, if you'd like to have them for the season. So we will draft 16 cast members. We're going to go. There'll be 2 rounds. So it'll be a snake draft. So the person who has the first pick will also have the last pick. You can pick each cast member only once. And the way that we are determining points is basically every cast member, once they are in a sketch or a segment of the show, will receive 1 point for the season. It could be in any role. So you can be the person with the most lines in the sketch, or you could be the voiceover at the beginning of the sketch. But as long as you have a role in a sketch, that counts as 1 appearance. Appearing on Weekend Update counts as 1 appearance as well. So Jost and Jay will get 1 appearance every time they're on Weekend Update. Every time somebody rolls up to the Weekend Update desk, they'll also count. Appearing in the Good Nights does not count. Okay, appearing in the opening montage where Dara Hammond introduces you does not count either. And appearing in a still will count. So if there is a still picture that's there that appears as a part of a sketch, like let's say they get, I don't know, Mikey Day to dress in a weird costume and they cut to a still as a part of a news sketch, that counts because he has a role in that sketch. The other factor is if there is a host and musical guest that is performing double duty and a cast member introduces them in that segment, that will count as 1 appearance in that particular segment. So let's say Megan Thee Stallion is the host and musical guest week number 3. And for example, Chloe and Heidi are introducing Megan Thee Stallion. They will both get 1 appearance for that. We are following the same rules that NBC Universal uses and Saturday Night Live uses to count their sketch appearances. So all the statistics will be exactly equal. The same ones that we use here for all of our stats will be the same as the show counts for theirs. And at the end of the season, everyone will have 2 cast members on their team. At the end of the season, we're going to count the total number of sketch appearances between those 2 cast members, and whoever's team has the most wins the draft. Okay. Competitors, did I explain that okay? Were there any questions? Got it. Perfect. Okay, the way we determine the order for our draft is the winner of the previous draft has the right to choose the order for the rest. Okay, so last time in July, 4th of July weekend, we had a draft where we picked the never hosted draft. And we had a bunch, I think we had 72 picks, including Haskell, of hosts that could potentially host Saturday Night Live one day who have never hosted Saturday Night Live. We did not get any of the first 3 of season 48 correct. They were not on anybody's list. So much for that. But basically, it's a really fun show. And we have tallied the results. So I will give, just for time, I will give the top 3 from the previous draft. In 3rd place was TJ. So good job, TJ. In 2nd place was Hallie, who is not here tonight, but she won our previous draft last Christmas. And in 1st place was Nicole. Nicole Rovine won our never hosted draft. So Nicole has all the power tonight. She can choose where we are all picking for the cast draft.
I'm so
It
proud of
feels
you,
good.
Nicole.
Thank you. And by the way, Rebecca went against some of my picks when she was voting, so this feels really good. And that will, by the way, really, really impact my decisions here, because I remember.
I was
remember.
kissing up to you by congratulating you.
Yeah, you think I forgot, and I haven't. I know every single one of you, what all of you thought of
Do
me.
your worst. Do your worst. I'm not scared of you.
You can't put us all last.
That's true. Okay.
But if you're not first,
okay,
you're
okay.
last.
Right. And it's hard. It's like, in a snake draft, arguably, you don't even want to put yourself first, because it's kind of nice to be in the middle. But every draft we've done, I've been on an edge where I've gone, just however it happened, I've gone twice, well, you'll see how it works, but I've gone twice in a row and then not at all for a while. And I'm kind of used to that. So I think I will put myself first after saying, oh, there are good pros and cons. But yeah, I will be first, which will be nice for me. Okay. I'm going to put Sammy next to me.
Let's go.
I'm going to go TJ next.
Yeah, don't take all night. Just let us know what you pick.
Okay, sorry.
We are live.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, fine. Then I'm gonna go Jon. I'm gonna go Bill right where he is. I'm gonna flip the Andrews. And that's that on that.
Okay.
You think
Best
you're
for
slick.
last.
You think
You
you're
know,
so
eventually on one of these drafts, you have to break up me and Haynes, right?
You guys
I
always
was
pick
thinking the
each other.
same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
Maybe.
the official order for the cast draft is Nicole first, Sammy second, TJ third. I will be drafting fourth, and on the bottom row is Bill Kenney in fifth. Haskell is sixth. Haynes is seventh. Always drafting next to each other, and then Rebecca will have the eighth and then the ninth picks, and it will go back that way. Okay. So let's go over the cast from season 48 as far as we know it. So like we said, all the cast members that have departed are no longer eligible. Here is who is eligible for season 48. Michael Che, Mikey Day, Chloe Feynman, Heidi Gardner, Colin Jost, Ego Wodem, Cecily Strong, Keenan Thompson, Bowen Yang, featuring, also, I believe added to repertory players are also Andrew Dismukes and Punky Johnson. Feature players, Marcello Hernandez, JAJ, Molly Kearney, Michael Longfellow, Sarah Sherman, and Devin Walker. So they are all eligible tonight. 16 will get picked. 1 will not get picked. Nicole, let's kick off the draft with the first pick.
Okay, so I'm really analyzing the data, and I have spent many hours doing so on our by the numbers shows. And, with that said, I know data does not always tell the whole story. That's what's interesting about whether we're doing by the numbers. Jon is like, all right, but hear me out. So I think that, yeah, this is going to be very interesting because we're all looking at the data, but then we're also, there's the quantitative side, the historical side that we all know. And then there's the future and the story. And that's something that has yet to, to unveil itself, which is what we're, so combining those things, looking into everything. I am going to, for my first pick, I'm looking at this data. I'm thinking about where we're going in the future, this coming season. I am going to do first pick Bowen Yang.
Okay.
I think he's very much on the upward trajectory in sketch appearances this year.
He was my
All
number
right.
one also.
Interesting.
I agree with
Okay.
everything you said, Nicole. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So just for context, Bowen Yang was 10th in sketch appearances in season 47. Obviously, we've had a lot of departures, so that opens up some more room. So Bowen Yang was in 55 sketches in season 47. In season 46, Bowen Yang was at 39 sketches. So he has been on the rise. And then in season 45, which was his first season on the show, he was in 47 sketches. Okay. So we went from 47 to 39. then up to 55. So last year was his career high in sketch appearances. Would love to get some thoughts on Bowen going here at the first pick. Haskell, can I start with you? What are your thoughts on Nicole picking Bowen to go first overall?
It's sound logic, right? Like Bowen Yang coming off an Emmy nomination, like definitely feels like Bowen could be an anchor for the show this year. I had probably Bowen going in the top 4. Here's why I stayed away from him, though, and would have stayed away from him. It's been a weird year for departures. Bowen, to me, could be a dark horse for one of those people who like could leave mid-season and have other projects to do. So that was what would scare me, is that Bowen Yang is really popular. It seems to be gaining popularity outside of SNL, and I'd be really worried that Bowen would be the type of person who we go, or we get that text from Jon saying, hey, Bowen is off doing a project for the next 3 weeks. He's not going to be on the show. And that would scare me and kind of kept me from putting Bowen high on my list.
For sure. That is a factor, right? You have to consider that when it comes to some of the cast members as, like what other projects are they doing? Are they going to be there the whole time? Nicole, what do you think of that?
Yeah, amazing point. And that's why, honestly, the first two people that I had thought of, again, looking at the data, were Kenan and Cecily. But I'm also thinking those, to me, are the two people most likely to do what you're describing, of be off for 6 weeks, even to be off for 3 weeks in the fall and 4 weeks in the spring. And I think that because there's evidence of that for both of them, or more so Cecily, a little bit Kenan, I think that really more Cecily, but I think that Kenan is certainly heading more in that direction, especially this season. I think that he is going to be doing other things more than he has before. So that, I think for me, that was something that crossed my mind. But I think that Bowen is just perfectly primed in this position where he is. I think this is going to be his biggest year yet on SNL, and I feel like what you're describing, I do think that for him maybe will be the year after that. But I feel like he's just perfectly poised to like be, the star of the show this year. So I think I foresee him really like taking advantage of that. But you that's a great point. He has so much else going on, so it could go either way.
Okay. Over to Sammy for the second pick of our draft. Bowen Yang is off the board. Sammy, where are you going to head with pick number 2?
Yeah, so I just want to thank Nicole for making this one really easy for me, because I had a feeling this person was going to go first overall, and I was like, all right, what's my like, once I was in second position here, I'm like, all right, who am I going to go for after this? But since you picked Bowen, I'm going to go with someone who that we're talking about data, we're talking about stats. You look at the stats last year, and this person was in the most sketches. And this is a person who's been on the show longer than any other cast member. I'm going with Kenan for my pick. And I do want to go into it a little bit. I just feel like with the show being in such a transitional year, it just feels like, obviously Kenan's always going to have a lot of screen time, but even more so with, these first couple of shows, having first-time hosts and, a lot of changeover in the cast. I feel like, Kenan is someone that the show will rely on, and he doesn't have a sitcom that he has to leave to shoot anymore. R.I.P. Kenan, the show, not the person. So I'm picking Kenan for my pick.
Yeah, Kenan, who just had the most incredible year, obviously, with the Walk of Fame, the hosting the Emmys, and also last season led with the amount of sketches, with 81 sketches in season 47, had his 1500th sketch in season 47. So that was a big deal, obviously. And, in his 20th season heading into the show, we have to imagine he was going to have a huge year on the show. So for me, would have been my first pick if I had the first pick overall. I'd like to go over to Rebecca. Would Kenan have been your first pick if you had the first pick?
If I had the first pick, I was choosing Bowen, but Kenan would have been a close second, just because tried and true, with so many changes going on this year, I feel like they need a staple to make it still feel like not a brand new season of SNL, like coming out of the woodworks. And we know Kenan's loved and adored by everyone. So I would not be surprised if he takes it away again next year with the most sketch appearances.
Okay. Is there anyone else here who wouldn't have taken Kenan first overall? Okay, TJ, you would not have taken Kenan first overall. Why would you have not have?
To be honest, I was going more on like based on people I like. I never thought of Keenan as leaving. Keenan is the smarter choice, but I thought Keenan would go first. I thought it was the most obvious. So I wasn't going to go with them simply for like strategy. I was like, the likelihood I get first and like get Keenan is just unlikely. So it didn't seem like a smart decision to like put the eggs in that basket or build a team around him primarily.
Yeah, that's fair. So season 44, Kenan Thompson led SNL in sketch appearances. 45 and 46, it was Beck Bennett. And then Kenan returned to lead last year in season 47. So I would have to imagine with a lot of departures, they're going to lean on Kenan as much as they ever have. So I feel like this is, for football fans, this is like the Jonathan Taylor pick of just going with the chalk first overall for Sammy. So a very good choice here at number 2. TJ, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I had a question for you. Do you know if Keenan does like a sponsorship for Icy Hot?
I don't.
Well, basically to like, help soothe his back from carrying the show.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. That answers that. I'm gonna send it right back over to you, TJ, for pick number 3.
Okay, so I was gonna go with my homegirl, my favorite, but I feel like based on me just now understanding the rules in this versus what I kind of like did beforehand, I'm going to go with somebody that is likely to not leave the show during the season at all. They'll probably maybe do a movie or a TV show or here during that, but they're likely not going to be doing a one-woman show or doing Schmigadoon. I am going to go with Heidi Gardner. And Heidi Gardner is... Okay, so like there's a serious reason and then there's like a silly reason. The silly reason is with Cecily gone, who's going to be the white lady in the most of the sketches where you need a white lady? Basically, Heidi's going to do what Beck did, like kind of like play like the white guy role. Like if you take Cecily out in terms of sketch appearances, Heidi's kind of that like first person that you're going to pick. With Kate, 80, like them gone, she's kind of the next person that you would like pick. But the more serious reason is she has it. We almost expected from her. She is able to blend into the, well, I don't want to say blend into the background. She's able to be relied on. She's able to be at the center and to be the star. She's fully capable to like, pull everyone in. She has an orbit that she has created in terms of like the fans. She's reliable. And with that utility play that we saw, especially in the last season where we didn't see, I don't know if we saw a Bailey Gizmert or, a boxer's girlfriend. I don't think we saw those big Heidi Sano characters. We saw maybe, some more like utility stuff. We know that she could step in to like do what like the female version of what Beck did. So to me, in terms of like who's going to be in the most sketches, simply because Cecily will be out doing projects and she was going to be my first pick. I love Cecily, but it feels like this is Heidi's chance to have the most appearances and to be working the most. I mean, it's right there for her.
I agree. I mean, the last 3 seasons in a row, Heidi has had 66, 66, and 69 sketches. So she is nothing but consistent.
Nice.
Nothing but consistent on the show. I think that she is definitely going to go into a lot of those roles. I do want to clarify for the audience who may have been wondering what TJ was saying with regards to Cecily being out potentially. He's not referring to Cecily being off the show. She's still eligible to be drafted because as of now, she's still a cast member on Saturday Night Live, but she is supposedly doing her one-woman show throughout the month of October. So does that potentially affect her draft stock in this particular draft? I would think so. And that's why maybe TJ decided not to go ahead with Heidi here. Bill, I would love to head over to you. What are your thoughts on TJ picking Heidi at the 3rd overall pick?
Oh, absolute great pick. I think after Keenan, Heidi would have been my second pick. And I referenced this on Monday a little bit too. I feel like this is really her chance. We saw last year, and she had a great year overall, but especially that first half when Kate wasn't there. And I'm not saying Kate took her roles when Kate came back, but a lot went to Kate when a lot was going to Heidi in the fall. A lot was going to Ego in the fall. And she kind of fell into the utility player role in the background for a lot of the sketches. I think now with so much female power gone, Kate and 80 obviously among them, and Cecily out for an unknown amount of time, Heidi is definitely, along with Ego, going to take over the show.
Yeah, and it's totally underrated. I think Heidi was in the 5th most sketch appearances in the previous season, so you wouldn't necessarily thought that, but she really did transform herself as a cast member from being, this player on Weekend Update, as Bill was saying, these characters and all this stuff, to being that utility role. So I think it is a very solid pick here from TJ at 30. So just to recap, we have Bowen Yang off the board for the first overall pick to Nicole. Sammy then took Keenan, and TJ took Heidi. I now have the 4th overall pick in the draft, and I've been thinking about a few different people, and I think I'm going to go with the person who I once asked the audience, who is the person we don't talk enough about on Saturday Night Live? And they all consistently gave me this answer. I'm going to go with Mikey Day here at the 4th overall pick. Mikey, to me, is going to be in so many sketches this season. I think we're going to be talking about him a lot more in season 48 with the departures of a lot of people who were of his class, I would say, in season 47. I think in season 48, he's going to be in a ton of stuff. There's going to be Mikey, Streeter themed sketches, and we're going to see how the new players kind of fall into that. But he has to be one of the most relied upon people of this current cast. I really think that, I know not everybody wants to see him take over the show, and I don't necessarily think he will, but I think he's going to put up the numbers. I think it's going to be a very solid pick for me. And as I'm building my team with the combinations of who I might get on the back half of this draft, I think that for me, I really love the stats that Mikey Day puts up over here. So that is my choice for pick number 4. Haynes, would love to get your thoughts on Mikey Day going at the 4th overall pick here.
Well, if I was in your spot, it would be between Mikey and one other person who I will not name, since people need to pick after you and before me. But yeah, I mean, he's already, had years of being in a ton of sketches. I don't see any reason with the departures and, the new folks coming in that he wouldn't, be used a lot this year. Obviously, he has a lot of good range. He can, in kind of the Heidi vein, he can lead the sketch, but he also just plays so many great, he plays a great straight man. He plays great side roles. So he's always there elevating everyone else in the sketch. I love his facial expressions. He's great for background facial expressions. Like, you cannot give him a line and just have him in the background reacting. And so just that alone is, a reason to have Mikey in a sketch, even if there's not a line for him, so we've got a great sketch written, pop Mikey in there just for a reaction to some of the stuff. I think he's great for that. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a great pick. We're going to see a lot of Mikey this year. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, and I think SNL has to be thrilled that Mikey Day is coming back to the show, given all the departures. So he was in the 4th most amount of sketches last season. Actually, in season 45, he was in the 2nd most amount of sketches behind Beck. So I think, it's interesting to think about. He's, always there, always a part of every episode. So for me, I think I'm happy with my pick and who I got here at 4th overall. But Bill, we're going to head to the back half of the first round. Who are you going to pick with the 5th pick overall?
Well, just like in a sports draft, this is a tough position to be in because the top 4 have already gone off the board, and there's a lot of good people still left. But you're starting to get into the minutia of who's really going to bring it and get into the top 5 of the year. I'm going to go with the person who had probably the best freshman season of the last 20 years on SNL. Especially with the midterms coming up and the Mar-a-Lago criminal going to be heavily featured on SNL for sure. I'm going with James Austin Johnson. I think between all of his political impressions and then what we saw at the back end of the season last year with him, playing the background role, playing the husband, and we need somebody to fill in for Kyle's cuck roles. So I think James will be good for that as well. So yeah, I think James is really going to kill it this year. So I'm going with him.
Okay, we have our first featured player off the board for our draft, and it is a really strong pick here with James Austin Johnson, who obviously came out swinging in season 47. The big question will be, can he produce enough star power in season 48 in the way that he did in season 47? Can he have a great sophomore season, or is a sophomore slump potentially coming to James Austin Johnson? Obviously, Bill feels very strongly about this. JAJ last year was in 51 sketches, good for 12th overall, but for a rookie, that is extremely strong. One of the strongest rookie years we've ever seen at Saturday Night Live. So Sammy, would love to go to you on this one. What do you think about Bill's pick with JAJ here 5th overall?
I mean, it's definitely interesting because, someone big is still on the board who hasn't been picked yet, which is Cecily Strong. And obviously, we know she's working on other projects and whatnot, but it is interesting to see. I think the JJ pick is great. I just do think compared to who else is left, maybe I would have tried to wait to see if he were to come around, but he had a great season last year, and he is someone who will fill kind of those roles in the sketches with a family, and there's just an older dad kind of part and those kind of things. And I know recently you mentioned on another podcast, John, that he wasn't on the update at all last year. He was the only cast member who wasn't on update. So it'll be interesting to see if he's able to dip his toe into that this season. But no, I think overall it's definitely a solid pick. But compared to who's left, it is an interesting pick for sure, Bill.
I am curious, did anyone else have JAJ in their top 5? Would any of else have picked him so high? Okay, Rebecca, you would have as well?
Yeah, I feel like especially with a midterm year, it's like the political sketches go past just the cold open and update, and just with a lot. I think also he was kind of underutilized as a sketch player last year, and I think there's a need for just a strong male like sketch actor here. So I think he's going to have his time to shine this year, but he would have been my 5th pick also.
Okay.
I would also argue, though, that you can get kind of stuck in that role, though. And that would be my worry, is that he becomes the impressionist and he's always getting in his Trump makeup. So he's never in the first sketch after the monologue. And that kind of, you know what I mean? Like a little bit of that Jay Farrow sort of thing where he never actually breaks out of that role. That would scare me.
That is true, but I would say going back to some of the Daryl Hammond and Dana Carvey comparisons, those two cast members were in some of the most sketches ever. So potentially they may use the impressionist role more, knowing that they have such a strong impressionist. So there are both sides to that, and I guess we're going to see how it plays out. But Haskell, let's head to you for the 6th pick in the draft.
Yeah, let's. I didn't forget that you pointed me out on the host draft. It had to be pointed out that I was picked. Of course, I was picked. I was on everyone's board. It was gonna happen. I just had to be the one.
You can't pick yourself tonight. You know that, right?
Yeah.
What?
Who picked you again?
What?
You cannot pick yourself tonight.
It was one of the Andrews that picked me. I don't remember which one. His initials were AA.
Won this one.
when you're drafting, it's crazy because I had 2 picks before mine. I picked 2 people, and it sucks when they both go off the board, but it's really stressful when neither of them do. So now I have to make a decision. I'm going to go with somebody who I thought took a huge jump last year. I think is becoming one of those people that the writers like to write for. And I think that Bill mentioned a hole that Kyle leaves. I think this is the person who's filling that hole. I'm going to go with another Andrew Dismukes.
Wow. Okay. So Andrew Dismukes, who is now a repertory player. Andrew takes Andrew here at the 6th overall pick. This was somebody who we were raving about in season 47. Had such a strong sophomore season, was potential MVP that we were talking about a lot in terms of what he brought to the show. He came in 9th place in season 47 with 56 sketches and had some really strong nights. I see a bunch of 5s across the board as far as nights at SNL. And I think that he could have a very, very strong year. Nicole, I would love to get your thoughts on Andrew Dismukes going here to Haskell at 6 overall.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the finale episode of his first season was that was the moment for me, or it was when he went on Update a few episodes before that, which that was amazing. The I'm from Texas, great. I'll never forget that. And then the finale, and then ever since then, the finale with the prom sketch, ever since then, I have thought that the only way is up for him. And I think he's continued to prove that ever since that first spring that he had. And so I think, yeah, he's just going to go up. I think more opportunities have become available for him. Speaking about that Kyle hole, I feel like he can fill. And yeah, I mean, I think that the show is shaking up so much that a lot of these picks, the last couple picks, have been interesting because it's a lot of, now at first we were talking about people who we know are we know fill a certain role or have certain numbers behind them, but now I feel like it's getting interesting because it's people who, you know, we're excited to see what more they can do on going up and filling as the show changes. I feel like these are the people who are going to really like, we're going to see more from them than we did before. So that's really exciting.
Definitely very excited to see what Dismukes is going to be doing this season. All right, so Andrew picks Andrew, and now over to our next Andrew, Andrew Haynes. Who are you going to take with the 7th overall pick?
Well, I will say, I feel like I am in a blessed position right now. I really did not think that the person that I'm going to pick would still be here at this point. I feel like I'm getting a number 1 overall pick right now. I really do. Listen, even as much as, as much as, you know, Cecily was working on Schmigadoon last year and stuff, she was still in 70 sketches last year, right? So, like, that's crazy. But, you know, she does have this solo show going on this year. So we're going to take away a little bit more from her. To me, honestly, I thought Haskell was going to take my pick when he talked about someone's star really rising last year. And so to me, at this point, the choice is obvious. And I really feel like this person could be in more sketches than anyone else. Obviously, it's Ego Nwodum. She is amazing, and she will crush it this year. And I think I might be on my way to winning this draft.
Okay, so Ego goes here at 7th overall. That's very interesting. I thought you were going with Cecily, so I was very confused with where that was headed, but way to throw me off. Yeah, so Ego is going here at 7th overall. Ego, who had a really, really strong season 46. That's something we're talking about a lot going into last season. Ego was tied for 4th place overall in season 46. And last season dropped down to 7th overall. So still very solid 63 sketches from Ego that we had last year. TJ, would love to go to you for your thoughts on Ego Nwodum coming in here 7th overall.
Well, I mean, actually, I can't give my real answer because it might affect somebody getting taken off the board. But like, I don't know. Andrew kind of said everything. This is a fantastic pick. I feel like it should be like Heidi and Ego's show, like from like a female perspective. Honestly, I can't really add more. Like I feel like Haynes made a great point. Honestly.
Okay. Anyone else got any thoughts on Haynes' pick with Ego here?
So Ego was
it's very quickly. I will just say, you know, it is interesting that Ego and Heidi were just on the Today Show a couple days ago promoting the new season of SNL. That's really telling to see like who are the 2 people that they're choosing to like put out there in front. So, you know, I think that's just as we're looking into storylines for the upcoming season, that's something to look out for. Haskell?
It was between her and Andrew for me. Those were the 2 that I was alluding to. And I just had to go with which way the arrow was pointing on either of them. I was scared a little bit and I remember talking about this on the podcast last year, being a little concerned about maybe a step backwards. Last year, obviously the door is wide open to kind of take a huge step forward this year, but I was a little concerned.
Could I add something, John, as well?
Go ahead, TJ. Yeah.
Sorry, this just hit me. So Ego, I think it was 46. She did that Loco pre-tape. That was like 1 or 2 years ago. So we have a vacuum right now when it comes to music because Chris and Pete are gone, and somebody could please correct me on this, but I feel like there's a potential there because they have enough swag and flavor for Ego and Punky. I'm thinking about kind of the Strollin P-tape, which is actually one of my favorites musically speaking. I think there's a hole for them to kind of fill that space. So I think that could be a place where Ego like puts herself, not as the only place, but I think I see that also as kind of a wide open space for her to step in. Also, especially with Meg, I need to address her correctly, with Hot Girl Meg, aka Tina Snow, or Trina Snow, I can't remember what it is, stepping in on the 3rd episode of the season. I can't imagine like Ego's the first person I think of that's gonna do like there's gonna be some kind of musical rap pre-tape with Meg. There has to be, and I'm assuming Ego will be the person, Ego or Punky. I can't picture Dismukes doing it. I mean, unless he can rap, like that would. So who knows? Maybe he has a little Andy Samberg in him. But like from a musical standpoint, That's something we don't really see a ton in Ego, but she's fully capable of. So I wonder if that could also be a place where her star could also rise.
Yeah, of course, if Dismukes could rap, then Haskell would have a steal here with his pick. But you never know. I guess we're going to see what's going to happen. And I know Sammy spoke a little bit about the appearance on the Today Show earlier in the week. So it's always interesting to see who is promoting the premiere as well. We do have Bowen on the Today Show tomorrow morning. And then Chloe is on Jimmy Fallon tomorrow night. And Colin Jost is on Seth tomorrow night. So just to put that as a factor. Okay, Rebecca, you have back-to-back picks here to end the first round and start the second round. Let's start with your first pick just to finish off the first round, and then we'll recap the first round of the draft. So you have a lot of people still left on the board. It'll be interesting to find out where you're going to go. 8th pick of the first round.
So 8th pick, not great, but I get to pick one of my favorite, if not my favorite member of this cast right now. So that is so very exciting. The reason I'm choosing this person is because I think they're going to fill the void of Pete being the mainstream SNL cast member. Like, they're every red carpet, you go to see what she's wearing. If obviously we all know who I'm talking about, I'm picking Chloe, but I think she's super mainstream. And I think SNL needs that because they need people that, like, people care what Chloe's wearing. People care what drama goes on in her life. And I think they would tune in, obviously not to the extent that Pete had, but like, if you're looking at mainstream like people on this new cast. So I'm super excited that I get to pick Chloe. I mean, we know her impressions are top notch and she is someone good to throw into any scene as like, kind of like if Heidi's going to go up to kind of that Kate role, then like Chloe can kind of fill that Heidi void.
Interesting.
Can I point out a great moment that just happened if you're listening to this? Because you just said she's on the red carpet and everyone's like looking for her. And Nicole went, oh yeah, I know who this is. And then you went, and not everyone knows I'm talking about Chloe. And all the guys here went, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just me. I was like instant, like, yeah, that's a good. You're right.
Nicole, we should clip that. But that's a great moment that we have here. Okay, so Chloe Fineman goes here to finish off the first round of the draft. Sammy, what do you think about Rebecca's pick here with Chloe Fineman?
I mean, that's like a really interesting point to bring up about the red carpets. Like, not to be looped in with everyone else, but yeah, I have noticed her at, certain like events and things like that. So, that might be a factor into like potential screen time. I do also just think, she is someone who, going into last season, I thought we'd see a lot more of. So, I don't think she necessarily, lived up to that first season or two of hers. So it will be interesting to kind of see her kind of like make up for that ground because there is a void to fill. We're talking a lot about filling holes tonight, and Chloe is someone who, I mean, right next to JJ. If JJ is like the person who can do a lot of the political, kind of male impressions, like. Chloe has been able to do so many great, female celebrity impressions, over her time on the show. And even that sketch she did last year where she kind of played herself was kind of one of the highlights of the season for me. So, to me, it is interesting that she's the first round pick and who I assume might be your second is going to be a second round pick. So,
yeah. All right. So Chloe Fineman was in 52 sketches last season. That was her career high, 11th overall for the season. She started off her career with 47 sketches, then went down to 45, and now is up to 52. So around the same amount for the last 3 seasons. It will be fascinating to see if she will make that jump in her 4th year at the show. Okay, let me recap the first round of the draft. So first overall, Nicole took Bowen. Sammy then took Keenan. TJ took Heidi. I took Mikey. Bill went with JAJ. Haskell took Dismukes. Haynes took Ego. And Rebecca took Chloe. We still have 9 cast members left on the board, 8 who will be picked. But before we get to the second round of our draft, I would like to take a moment to thank our sponsor for tonight's podcast. And it's the 13th annual Austin Sketchfest that returns live to shows September 29th to October 1st. And that's tomorrow. So at the historic Scottish Rite Theater in Austin, Texas, if you happen to be nearby or or going to Austin, Texas, this is an amazing opportunity because headliners include Girl God, the most popular trans comedy duo performing today, if not ever, and the legendary Mo Collins of Mad TV, Parks and Rec, and Fear the Walking Dead. Plus, there will be dozens of sketch troupes from UCB, the Second City, the Pack Theater, as well as Austin's funniest sketch and stand-up comedians, all of which is presented by Cold Town, Austin's #1 comedy theater. Weekend badges are only $69, and individual tickets are also on sale at atxsketchfest.com. That is atxsketchfest.com. Make sure to go and enjoy. All right, let's start off the second round of our draft. Rebecca, you are kicking things off with the 9th overall pick.
I am like really torn here in 3 different directions. So I feel like I just have to take to the numbers and figure it out. This player, again, I'm just not subtle in this person. So this person though had a breakout first season on the show. I think like her sketches just broke the internet a lot of the time, like for just being so hysterical. She had 41 appearances in her first season, which was really close to Kate, who had that middle ground of like half SNL, half filming other stuff, number of appearances, which kind of led me in this direction. Like if she could get in that many sketches, and I'm imagining like Weekend Update slays all around, like I have to pick Sarah as my next option here.
Okay, so we get the other rookie from last season, Sarah Sherman, off the board here to kick off the second round of our draft. Haskell, would love to get your thoughts on Sarah Sherman going here, who obviously had an incredible first year at SNL.
I would have loved Sarah Sherman where I'm at drafting in the second round. I don't know if she would have been my first pick of the second round if I had that first pick. I don't know. Listen, I love her. I think she's hysterical. I'm excited to see what she does moving forward. I don't know if 41 sketches was a breakout rookie year. And that's what I don't know. I'm tepid on if SNL is really going to unleash, that the squirm, you know what I mean? Like, and so at this point in the draft, it's great value. But there's probably 1, maybe 2 more picks that I would rank higher.
Okay, it'll be interesting to see with a team of Chloe and Sarah if they can produce the numbers for Rebecca in this draft. But let's head over to Haynes for the 10th overall pick and the second pick in the second round.
I can't believe this is still happening to me. I'm getting my second pick now, and honestly, after I had my pick and then Rebecca's going, I'm like, oh my gosh. First of all, listen, love Sarah. She is so awesome and she crushed it last year. She's going to crush it. But I was thinking and I was like, man, Rebecca is going to get Chloe and Cecily. That's insane numbers, just numbers on numbers. So she's doing her thing in October. Yeah, she's got Schmigadoon, but like I said, last year she had Schmigadoon. She was still in 70 freaking sketches. I cannot believe that I have the opportunity to do this.
I was an underdog in this draft. I needed to choose underdogs too.
This is my moment. And I am stacking. With Cecily Strong here. So I really feel like I'm hooked up. I thought I was doing well with where my first pick landed right in my lap. This is unbelievable. I feel really, really good about this season and the numbers that could come from my wee 2-person team. Thank you guys so much. This was so easy.
Yeah, so I sort of feel like I agree. I see in our private chat as well. I see that Haynes may have just won the draft. I think if everything goes correct here with Ego and Cecily, Haynes will probably take the whole thing. But this is a big but. We don't know if
Kardashian.
Yeah, we don't know if Cecily will be there that much. Last year, she did miss 4 episodes and finished 3rd overall in sketch appearances with 70. Obviously, if she's going to be there and she was there for the whole season, she would have been taken within the first couple picks, probably 2, 3, 4, something like that. But we don't know when she will be there or not. We don't know if she's going to take off again in January or what will be happening. Obviously, her without Kate McKinnon and A.D. Bryant is something we've never seen on the show. So there are a lot of question marks here. So even though it may seem like Haynes will win this, I still think there's intrigue. Bill, what do you think here of Haynes' pick?
I was wondering if she got to me, if I would take her. And here's my two issues with taking her. Any other time, if she, like you said, if she was going to be there the whole season, she'd already be long gone. But if her show is extended, she won't be back in November. She could be back Christmas. She could be back in January. And the other thing is, looking at the numbers from last year, Kate came back in December. And for all the complaining that certain people do about how much Kate is on the show and dominated the show, she was 15th in sketches by missing the first 7 or 8 shows. So going with that logic, I don't think I would have taken Cecily, even when it got back to me. Any other time, I would have said great pick, but I think have to take some caution with her this year.
Does anyone else disagree with Cecily being taken here by Haynes? Like, would anyone else not have taken her there? Okay. All right. TJ? Okay. Yeah. So it seems like everybody else would have taken. So it seems like an interesting pick. Glad we got Bill's opinion on that as well. All right. Haskell, since you would have taken Cecily there, I'm curious who you would take here at 11, the third pick of the second round.
Yeah, I think the chaos starts now. This is where it gets interesting. I had a couple philosophies. One, I'm not touching a rookie with a 10-foot pole. Like, that's too risky for me, especially with the amount that they're kind of bringing in. It's weird. So then I started looking at Weekend Update. To me, these Weekend Update anchors, they're like when you get towards the end of a fantasy football draft and you're like, well, I'll take a good defense because, like, a good defense will give me numbers. And then you always get to the end of the year and you're like, it wasn't as valuable as it was. And the numbers on Jost and Shea they weren't great. So TJ said something that really hit me. I'm going to go with Punky Johnson, and I'm going to bank on some musical sketches, maybe a little bit of rapping. And I think I got like what amounts to like a good backup running back who could get some starts and could break out a little bit.
Yeah, I think this is an amazing pick. I mean, if Punky would have gone to me, I definitely would have taken Punky here. I think that Punky's going to have an incredible season ahead. Totally agree about all those, the void in the music. But it's really fascinating, Haskell, with the team you ended up with, where you end up taking Dismukes and Punky, both of whom started at the same time on the show and are being promoted at the same time on the show. But let's talk about Punky, because season 46, Punky Johnson, 34 sketches. Season 47, Punky Johnson, 31 sketches. Obviously hasn't put up the numbers yet, so it will be fascinating to see if Punky will produce this season when she certainly has the opportunity to. TJ, would love to know your thoughts here on Punky going to Dismukes, to Haskell.
To Dismukes. Welcome to the show, Andy Dismukes.
Yeah.
I'm upset because it's my own fault. Like I'm gonna, when you get to me, you're gonna hear what my reasoning is. But like, I'm upset because Punky is somebody, I think her stand-up is fantastic. And while she's not smart no disrespect to her, this late in the draft, she's a fantastic pick because she's a great performer. But going early, it's not the smartest pick just because of the numbers to like bet that she would have the highest. But in terms of talent, her and Dismukes, like that's like there's such like different styles. You're going to cover a wide base. Like you're going to cover a really wide, diverse, weird, funny, maybe musical, kind of dark base with the things that Dismukes and like Punky touch on. So I was thinking about it from a creative aspect that I could appreciate that pick, but I'm so upset because this is the curse. You're not supposed to say the name of an unpicked draft person before they're picked. It's my own fault. It's
terrible
it's
move. Terrible.
Yeah, no, it was. I messed up, and it was at this moment that I knew I messed up.
Okay. Bill will finish up the first half of the second round with the 12th overall pick. So, Bill, we have some interesting people left on the board. We have Marcello, Molly, Michael Longfellow, Devin, Jost, and Che. Where are you going to head?
Like Haskell said, I mean, picking a rookie is such a dangerous move. If you asked me this time last year who I thought would be the breakout, I would have said Aristotle. So I'm not really sure who to go with here, but I'm going to go with the person who will relate to the younger people, the younger viewers more. He's huge on TikTok. He's had connections to SNL between Gilbert Gottfried and has toured with a couple people from SNL. I'm going with Marcello Hernandez.
Yeah, totally sniped me here with that pick. I was definitely going to go with Marcello if Marcello landed to me. I think this is an amazing pick.
Yeah.
I've already heard really good things about Marcello at the show. I think that Marcello potentially has, like, in a way, sometimes has like some Pete upside to him where it could be beloved at certain points on the show. The stand-ups will be interesting because I think that, when we're going to talk about these rookies over the next few picks, the stand-ups will get their time on Weekend Update, we assume, to perform their stand-ups. And that's going to be easy points for everybody who picks them. So I will be fascinated to see what, who goes where here. And I think Marcello is a very interesting pick. Rebecca, can I get your thoughts? Have you had any thoughts on Marcello Hernandez going here to Bill?
Yeah, I mean, out of all the rookies, I think he's a really strong pick. I mean, you really nailed it there. Like, he has the TikTok presence that is kind of going to put SNL even more on the maps with that generation of people because he has such a loyal fan base already. It's like we see him for a minute. Don't you want to see what he can actually do? So I think that was such a solid pick there. Like, it seems like the obvious choice in the rest of the open people.
Yeah, I'm curious. Did anybody else out of the rookies have Marcello at the top of their rookie board?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. Definitely mine. I think with the media stuff, I think he's the one who's the least primed for the hottest start. So I think that could be some easy points. So yeah, go ahead.
The hottest star.
Yeah.
He's a good looking guy.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So Rebecca's team is complete with Chloe and Sarah. Haynes has Ego and Cecily. Haskell has Dismukes and Punky. And Bill has JAJ and Marcello. And we will head to the final 4 picks in the draft. We have 3 rookies and 2 Weekend Update anchors left on the board. And I think the obvious pick for me here is to go with the one, the only Molly Kearney here. I'm going to go with them. I think they are going to be fantastic on Saturday Night Live this season. Going here, I think it's great value at 13th overall. I'm really excited for what we're going to get to see from Molly, especially due to their connection to Sarah Sherman, that's something that we talked about a lot when we first previewed them on our cast preview right after it was announced. So I think stand-up background, potentially the void left by some people who were very like stars on the show last season. I think there's a lot of potential to see Molly in a bunch of sketches this season. So for me, I feel this is great value for Molly at 13th overall here. And I'm very happy to combine them with Mikey Day on my draft team. So Nicole, I'll head over to you. What are your thoughts on Molly going here 13th overall?
Yeah, Molly was my next pick for sure. And I think we've seen a big reason is we've seen so much of Sarah's success, I feel like, is related to the way that Sarah like collaborates with everyone else, whether it was existing connections or newfound connections. I feel like that's been a big way that she's been able to find her shine on the show. And Molly, having toured with Sarah and worked with Sarah, I just feel like we're going to get such a similar vibe. And I'm so excited about that. I have everything that Sarah has done, I've loved. And I feel like Molly has such a similar kind of thing. Well, they're both so unique. I think that they both really, they both just bring something different. And I feel like that their collaborations is honestly like what I am most excited for this season that I just truly cannot predict. I feel like Molly and Sarah are going to work together and shake up the show. And I am like really excited for that. So I think that's a great pick.
Thank you. All right. I'm very happy with my team.
You're welcome.
I'm very happy with. Usually you criticize me in these drafts. So I'm happy to get some compliments from Nicole.
No, I don't.
Yeah. Okay. But happy
Anyway.
to have my team of Mikey and Molly. So very excited to see what they'll do on the show. So we have 3 more people who are going to be picking in our draft tonight. 4 more people left on the board. Want to take a moment and just say RIP to Coolio, who I saw had passed away. So RIP Coolio. That is the type of breaking news we don't want to announce on the show, but RIP. Okay. Over to TJ Randolph for the 14th overall pick in the draft. TJ, you have... Let me just say who's left on the board. Okay. We have Michael Longfellow.
I have it written down.
No, I'm not just telling you. I'm telling the audience too. Michael Longfellow, Devin Walker, Colin Jost, and Michael Che. So you have the choice of those 4. Which one are you taking to complete your team with Heidi Gardner?
I'm so upset that you gave me the Coolio lead in.
Sorry.
He's just a gangster in paradise now.
Yeah, let me take a fantastic voyage over to your pick.
Yeah, I'm going to hell. Okay, all right. So, I basically in this draft, the thing I needed to have was synergy. But if you know me, you know I gotta have racial representation. If I did not get a black pick, your boy was gonna be upset. But I'm so glad I got Heidi. I'm very glad with that. And I'll be honest with you, I was gonna pick Michael Che until again, I tell you, I did not understand the rules of the draft until we started recording because I thought, oh, a Cecily and Che team, like she'll be musical, he can write, like it'll cover a lot of broad things. But I was wrong. Che's not going to appear in a goddamn sketch unless Tina Fey shows up and there's another COVID scare, which is why, Devin, I know nothing about you, brother, but just like black people voting in 2008, I'm going with the black guy. Devin, it's you and me, baby. And also think about this, like the actual, like aside from like my own like perspective, the strategic element of this is with Chris Redd gone, Kenan will take the show, but the benefit to having Chris there was it's like the benefit of having Jay there. There's an additional like black person there. It's the benefit to like that they didn't have when Kerry Washington had to host, and they put that apology out that we're sorry we don't have a black person hosting, and we don't have a black like female cast member, and they brought in Sashir like later that year. It's the benefit to just add more perspective and do more sketches like Black Jeopardy, like so. To me, this idea is just to he's gonna get a leg up because Che doesn't appear in sketches. Kenan does everything all the time. Devin has the potential to fill this middle, like coming out the gate. He could mess it up, but like that's the actual strategic reason. But like I have to pick one of the brothers that's left over. It's just what it is.
Okay, Devin Walker goes here to TJ and completes his team with Heidi Gardner. Haynes, I would love to get your opinion here on the choice of Devin Walker going to TJ.
Yeah, exciting. I admit I don't know a ton about him, just looking forward to seeing what he brings to the show. And, as Haskell said, we are in full chaos at this point. So yeah, I look forward to seeing what he brings. I have no idea what his numbers will be like. We'll have to see how he compares to the other new folks. It's obviously, an uphill battle in that first year, but talented people get screen time. I mean, we saw something quite extraordinary last year with JAJ. Who knows? Maybe Devin's going to pull something like that. And then TJ would be blowing people out of the water. So, so it's a fun pick.
That's right, son.
Yeah, for sure. And look, I mean, a team of Heidi who could have a fantastic season, and Devin, if has a really great rookie season, that team could easily win the draft. So it's not like having this pick or having the rookies is a bad thing. So it'll be fascinating to see. Yeah, go ahead.
My team, I feel like, is running on the rule of tokenism because Heidi, again, is the white lady to appear in most of the sketches, most likely. And Devin is going to be there when Kenan has other stuff to do. So based on me being a token most of my life, this is what my team symbolizes. And this is our story.
Okay, got it. Over to Sammy Kay for the 15th overall pick in the draft. So, Sammy, there is one rookie left on the board, and then there are two weekend update anchors. So, will you go with one of the update anchors, or will you go with the rookie? Could go either way, right? Last year, we had a situation, just to preface this. I mean, Aristotle Atari on the show last season was in only a couple more sketches than Jost and Che. So, it really can go either way. So, it'll be interesting to talk about. Sammy, what are you thinking?
Yeah, so numbers don't lie. Check the scoreboard. I think that was in the Jay-Z song. You look at the weekend update anchors, and I just feel like anyone that's a part of the actual featured cast who are in sketches are going to get more screen time. And I really like the idea of making Nicole try to pick between Colin and Che. Really curious to see how that turns out. So I'm going to go with Michael Longfellow. I'm not going to pretend to really know much about him. I know he's a stand-up, and someone on this network compared him to Andrew Dismukes. And if you've listened or watched any episode that I've appeared on the SNL Network, I love Andrew Dismukes, and I'm a little bummed that he's not on my team. So if I get a little bit of that Dismukes flavor out of Michael Longfellow, I will. I'll be over the moon with Keenan and Michael Longfellow on my team. Like, nothing's stopping us, baby. So I got Mikey Longs on my team.
Okay, Mikey Longs goes to Sammy, and that's the new nickname for Longfellow. Sam, so he has a team of Keenan Thompson and Michael Longfellow. So really going to be a fascinating team to watch throughout the season as we start to add up the results and check things. Rebecca, we'd love to head over to you for this one. What do you think about Michael Longfellow heading to Sammy here? Second to last pick off the board.
I've seen him in person do stand-up. He came to Seattle like a couple of months ago. Might have been longer. He was funny. And I also watched him on the show, Amanda Steele's show, Bring the Funny. Like, I watched that. I was probably one of the only people that watched it. And
I watched all of
good.
that. It was a great show.
Yeah. He didn't last, like, he didn't win or come near the top, but he was funny. I mean, I think he would be a solid player. He is very Dismukes-esque. So it's like, there might not necessarily have that void he needs to fill, but also with Kyle Mooney off, like, there's always a need for a little bit of a dweeby, like, male character. So I think he could do well. And I'm excited to see him do a sketch because I've only seen him do stand-up before.
Yeah, will be very fascinating. Haynes.
I'll just toss this out there. Sammy's saying, listen, I got the Keenan, I got the Michael Longfellow, and it reminds me of a Norm Macdonald joke where he says, ID is an interesting abbreviation because the I stands for I and the D stands for dentification. And I feel like that's what he's got going on here with Keenan and Michael Longfellow. So we'll see how the numbers bear out, but that's the way it feels with the setup.
It's like between me and Tom Brady, we have 7 Super Bowl rings.
Yes, let's leave it at that. Okay. For the last overall pick in this draft, Nicole, you have the choice between our 2 Weekend Update anchors. And here's what's interesting, right? Because if, for example, and this did happen a couple times last year where we had Michael Che in a pre-tape, we had Colin Jost appearing in some sketches. He's also done impressions, by the way, during the political season where he's played candidates before. So those will count as well, especially with the midterms coming up. So something to consider. So Colin Jost or Michael Che are both available to pick from. Which one will you be going with to round out your team with Bowen?
This is a tough one, and I will say, based on the evidence that either of these picks will be at the bottom of the list this year, it's very unlikely that they won't. So I feel that a 2-round draft, for anyone listening, if you get to choose the order of a 2-round snake draft, perhaps don't put yourself first. Perhaps put yourself in the middle. I'm learning that perhaps I made an error. But you know what? I don't regret it because just being able to go first just gave me a lot of power. I feel it was worth the false feeling that I got for a second. And I'll regret it later. But with all that said, great points are made. I think that looking back on all the years that they've been at the desk, Colin has had more years where he is, he has the impressions, like when he was doing Pete Buttigieg, things like that. But I find that Che will appear. I mean, I'm looking at the data and I know last year, the data doesn't agree with me, but I think that Che is more likely to make more like spontaneous appearances. And I know I always look forward to those. And I think I like Colin more at the desk than I like Che at the desk, but I like to see Che pop up in sketches more than I like to see Colin pop up in sketches. So with that said, this is more of a manifestation than anything else, but I am going to pick Michael Che for mine. So the one person left off of our list is Colin Jost.
Yes.
Can I just say this is hilarious? I'm so glad you shot yourself in the foot. Oh, it makes me so happy.
Guaranteed. I mean, Bowen really needs to have the best season anyone's ever had because of my second pick. Whoever I went with.
Well,
Bowen needs to
in every sketch.
Iceberg every episode.
Let me just say, there are years, and this is, I was thinking about this structurally when we were producing or coming up with the concept for this draft, about if you had the first overall pick, can you still win the draft with going with a Weekend Update person and the person who leads the cast in sketch appearances? And you actually can. I've done the math on it, like from previous generations of the show. It's happened before, where if you were to combine the sketch appearances of, like, let's say, a Phil Hartman and Dennis Miller, that would give you the win with any other combinations of like two people, barring like the second or third overall picks, which wouldn't actually happen here unless, of course, like Cecily, for example, ends up absolutely dominating the season in the case of Haynes. So I actually think Nicole is definitely still in the running for this, because if Bowen Yang has a transcendent season on the show and Jay happens to be in a few sketches in addition to Weekend Update, the combination of those two metrics would actually produce potentially the number one for the end of the year. So Nicole is definitely still in it for things. So I would say all teams are still available to take home the ultimate prize. Okay.
If Nicole picked Keenan.
Yeah, Jon,
Nicole picked Keenan, she'd have it.
exactly. Yeah, don't lie to her.
There's no shot.
I tell that woman.
We have to make this
know.
intriguing.
Come
We
on
have to still make this intriguing. Okay. So
it's intriguing that she's losing.
So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna do a couple things. Let me finish. We're gonna do a couple of things. One, we're gonna post the teams on social media over the next few days, so we'll get you have an opportunity to let us know which team you think will ultimately have the most sketch appearances combined at the end of the year. Would love to get your thoughts on that, so we'll get you into the conversation. I'm gonna go over the teams as well in a few moments to just recap who they are. We're gonna update the standings of the teams each and every week, or we're going to try to do our best to do that on the By the Numbers shows that will be happening on Wednesday nights. So Nicole and Mike, when they're there, they're going to have the total sketch appearances. So it seems like a natural way. We're already talking about numbers anyway, so they'll update the standings on Wednesdays if you're curious to follow the draft throughout the entire season. And what I'd like to do now is I'm going to read out the teams, and then we're going to go one by one through the teams, and I'm going to ask all the panelists to just give their final pitches to the audience to explain why they think their team ended up ultimately being the best. Though this isn't a fan vote to decide the winner, would love you to give your opportunity to explain and justify your picks. So Nicole ends up with the team of Bowen and Che. Sammy picks Keenan and Longfellow, or what do we call L Fellows? Is that what we said? And then what was the nickname? Sammy?
I think it was Mikey Longs.
Mikey Longs. Okay. Mikey Longs and Keenan. TJ goes with Heidi and Devin. I end up with Mikey and Molly. Bill is with JAJ and Marcello. Haskell is with Dismukes and Punky. Haynes picked Ego and Cecily, and Rebecca took Chloe and Sarah. So Nicole, starting with you for your final pitch on your team.
Sure. So, I mean, first of all, don't you want to vote for the person who won the most recent draft? Aside from however this might go objectively for me, you just want to vote for the person who most recently won something like this. I think that's like more important than who anyone picked, right? It's, so that's my main argument. But also we all know that Bowen is just continuing to rise. His star is continuing to rise. And I think that he is going to be like at the absolute center of the show this year. And I feel like we all feel that way. And so it's a really, bet on that. And then it's a great thing to bet on. And then as for Michael Che, he's fun in sketches. He's fun when he makes like a very spontaneous appearance. I know suddenly I want him to more than I did 5 minutes ago for selfish reasons. I really, really want him to appear in sketches when he usually wouldn't. And I hope that happens. And yeah, and I mean, also speaking of, I know Colin has historically done more political impressions than Che, but we don't know. Midterms are coming up. We don't know. Che could bust out a few new impressions that we haven't seen. So anything could happen. And vote for the winner. A lot of these people have never won anything in their lives. Other people on this panel.
You jerk! Y'all gonna take this abuse?
TJ, you're gonna have your turn. So let me start with Sammy. And Sammy, by the way, I think in the private chat, Sammy asked, is there trading allowed during the season? Yes, you could trade your players during the season. We'll talk about that offline. So we'll make that a little bit more intriguing. Then if there are any trades between anyone on anyone's team, we will announce that on one of the By the Numbers shows to clarify for the standings. But for now, the teams will hold at least through Saturday into week 1. Sammy, tell us about your team with Keenan and M Fellows.
Mikey Longs. We will not have slander on the podcast for my guy. I mean, look, we have Keenan first of all, Keenan. He has been on the show for 20 seasons. This is his 20th season on the show. And, you know, some people you'd think like, oh, they're on the show for a long time. Maybe they'll pop into a couple sketches like Pete Davidson did last season. No, Keenan was leading in sketches last season, 81 sketches. And that was when he still had a sitcom on the air. So now that is out of the picture, I can only imagine he could break that record. He can get to 90, 100 sketches this season. It's very possible. So I'm just very thankful for Nicole to really just hand me Keenan on a silver platter there. And then Mikey Longs, as he'll forever be known on this podcast, certainly. You know, if I'm able to get even like a hint, a little smidge of that Andrew Dismuke's flair, you know, bring some 10-to-1 sketches every couple episodes. You know, I think that's enough to with Keenan to give me the win for this season. So, you know, I'm just getting my trophy ready, I guess, if we're getting trophies.
Okay. Apparently, according to Nicole, none of us have ever gotten trophies, so we'd be excited to see if one of us did. TJ, over to you.
I'm excited for my first one.
Yeah, so we're excited to talk to you, TJ, also about your team of Heidi and Devin.
I'll have you know, lady, I won a baseball trophy in 2nd grade, and it was participation, but it was still a trophy. So joke's on you. Second of all, you guys, I'm not.
I have a trophy shelf right now, right near me, from my soccer trophies
do you
from
feel
when
good
I was
about
like
that?
8 years old.
You guys, dear listener, I am not gonna try to, you know, speak to you as though I'm high on some kind of mountain, that I am some kind of winner who is above all. No, I come to you as just as the common man, you know, with the John Fetterman casualness. You got that was for like one person. Is that a cow trophy? A 2nd place. Nicole, okay, so shoot, what was I trying to say? I come to you as the common man, you know. I come to you as a humble person. Just if you don't stop with these little soccer trophies.
Okay. People are waiting for you to talk about
this. Is really great banter, guys.
Yeah, amazing podcasting here. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what, John? Okay. But on the real though, I come to you as a humble man, not as somebody with winner's privilege. Heidi Gardner is a star, and you know it. She can be in a lot of sketches. She's the female she who has the ability to do the roles that Beck was doing, but just like the female version, which there are a ton of. And she's able to write for herself. She's able to push past and create an identity all on her own. We enjoy her character work. She kind of does what Cecily was doing in the early 2010s with her character work. And Devin Walker, I don't know much about him, but he has a chance to really click with a lot of the writers. He's a stand-up, which means he always has a point of view and he has a perspective, which means we might see him on the update desk. And my favorite thing, he's black. So, you know, I'm hoping for some more perspective from that angle. And that, you know, that just means I'm hoping that, you know, since Chris Redd is gone, Jay Farrell's gone, that means another brother that we can put in for the, you know, a Black Jeopardy sketch. I mean, I'm praying. Look, just go for the diversity hire if you want to be a good person. Okay.
They're not voting.
Actually, no, but on the real, I think my team has like a very strong likelihood not to beat Keenan by himself, but to as a team together to appear in the most sketches simply because of like necessity of like different people that they're going to need. I just think in terms of like they're going to be utilized a lot.
No humble person has ever had to say that they're humble 3 times.
You know what?
Yeah, great.
You know what? You know what?
All right. Also, I just have to say for audio listeners, I didn't mean to exclude any audio listeners. I was just showcasing some trophies, my soccer trophies from years past.
Don't you get the 2009 trophy from you as a little girl?
Riveting stuff, guys.
Yeah, this is anyways, as the great Kendrick Lamar would say, and we will see him on Saturday night, be humble. So let's I come to you as
Good
the,
one, John.
Yeah, I come to you as the common man, and I would like.
You're literally the host of the podcast.
Okay, let's talk about my team a little bit, which obviously is the best. So, you know, coming here, getting Mikey Day at 4th place, this is an absolute steal. I think the right spot for him to go. I think he's going to have a fantastic season. So excited to have him and combine him with Molly. I think they're going to have a fantastic season. Molly working with Sarah in the past is a very big deal. I think we have an opportunity for Molly to end up being the rookie of the year here. So I think the combination of Mikey and Molly, to me, as just as much a chance as any other team to end up winning the draft overall. So very excited for what I ended up with. Bill, over to you to talk about your team of JJ and Marcello.
Now, here's why you should vote for me. Oh, wait, we're not doing that, right? Okay. Listen, James Austin Johnson, one of the best freshman years of all time on SNL, and it's only going to get better this year with the midterms. Obviously he did Biden and Trump, but he also did Lindsey Graham. So God only knows what else he can bring out by the time November rolls around. So between him, Marcello Hernandez, who will be the rookie of the year this year, with all his bringing in the young viewers and bringing them to YouTube and TikTok and all of those things. So I think my team's the best, man.
Okay. We will see. Haskell, let's get your opinions on your team of Dismukes and Punky.
I don't gonna really talk about that. It's a numbers game. I don't have to convince anybody. My fans on this podcast, they already love me. They're gonna vote for me already. They're already banging the drum for me on Twitter today. So I'm gonna take my quick moment to bring up an old tradition of this podcast when we do drafts and talk about the people on the list that we would have liked to draft. So going over my list of the people who didn't get drafted, I would love to maybe squeeze Colin Jost in there. I'm sure the guy who's married to Scarlett Johansson is so disappointed that 8 scrubs on the internet didn't take him in the draft, but I do feel bad. The other one would have been Andrew Haskell. That would have been 2 drafts in a row that he made it onto the draft. But so yeah, those would have been the 2 that probably should have gotten in here, but they didn't.
Too bad for them. I know Colin is just kicking himself over this. Okay, Haynes, over to you.
On the internet.
Ego and Cecily were chosen by Haynes. What do you think?
Listen. I basically already made my pitch after last round because I just am so stacked with studs. So instead, I'm going to tell you all the reasons everybody else's team is going to lose. Nicole Rovine. First of all,
No, I thought you were going to go through with this. Yeah.
No, it's too many. It's too many.
Commit.
But listen, well, okay. First of all, lightning don't strike twice, honey. So that ain't happening. Sammy, I already made my ID joke. TJ, no, I'm not really going to go through all these. But listen,
what are we roasted?
I do feel like I'm stacked between Ego and Cecily. They were in so many sketches last year. Yes, there is some stuff to watch out for with Cecily, as Bill and others have noted, but she's been such a strong player for so long. And it is, we say we don't know what's going to happen without Kate and Adie because they were kind of part of a power trio. It could open up, even more for her. Who doesn't want to work with Cecily? I bet every cast member there would love to have Cecily in a sketch with them. So I feel like I'm just completely stacked. And as we have gone over plenty at this point, there's no voting, so we'll let the numbers bear this out. And I feel like I moneyballed this.
Okay. Finally, over to Rebecca, who chose Chloe and Sarah with the turn.
I mean, I think I want to thank Nicole for putting me in last. I was upset, but it actually is a really good spot because I've got a fire team over here. I know we're not voting, but I just would like everyone's support as my first time in this draft, not only as a sympathy, but I have written a haiku to express how I feel. I have the best team. It is filled with Jewish queens. You should root for me.
All right. Wow. Congratulations.
Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was
So
cool.
that does it for our cast draft. This is a new tradition, which we will try and do every single year here on the SNL Network. And before we finish off the show tonight with some plugs of all these faces who you will see many times throughout our coverage of season 48, I do want to talk something to do with the SNL Network. And as many of you know, we started off as SNL Stats a couple of years ago and then transitioned over to the SNL Network when, things got bigger and we started to do more than just statistics. And I couldn't have imagined that in year number 2, we would have been doing even more of the things. And we were really privileged to get some opportunities, as you may have seen over the summer, to work at Just for Laughs, the Great Outdoors Comedy Festival. We got to interview some SNL cast members, some former SNL cast members. And the hope is that, we are obviously staying with the podcast, and that is the bread and butter of things we do over here at the SNL Network. But really, we're becoming so much more than that. And I'm very thankful to all the listeners for getting us to this point, because we're really becoming like a comedy media venture as we continue to cover former cast members, current cast members, and everything to do with Saturday Night Live. And through our discussions with NBC this summer, I'm really proud to say that, we're going to continue to work with them and their, work together to produce all this amazing coverage for you. And we are doing a little bit of a rebranding for year number 3. It's not going to be that much different, but you will see that we are transitioning over to the Saturday Night Network from the SNL Network. So just like Saturday Night Live, it is the Saturday Night Network. So you might notice some rebranding in your podcast feeds and on social media. Nothing will change as far as our coverage is concerned. So you'll still get all the same personalities, all the same voices on the show, and the same look and feel of the things that we're doing on social platforms. But we will just be known as the Saturday Night Network. And you may notice a little bit of comedy club vibes to some of the branding that we're going to be doing. And it'll also allow us the opportunity in the future to hopefully put out some merchandise of some of the branding we're producing. So if you are enjoying some of the things that we do here at the Saturday Night Network and you want to support us, you can do that with, putting our logo on some really cool merchandise. So that's something we're working towards over the next few months, in addition to some other really cool ventures that we now have the opportunity to do by being the Saturday Night Network. So, still focusing on SNL, still focusing on the SNL comedy space as a whole, but just wanted to make our listeners aware of that as we head into season 48, and hope you continue to enjoy and support all of the content we are producing. So very proud of where we are at heading into year number 3. Okay, let's say goodnight to everybody, and I'll start with Nicole Rovine to give some plugs. So Nicole, where can the listeners reach out to you?
Yes. Just again, plugging 3 soccer trophies over here that I have next to me. And I'm really proud of those. And thank you, TJ, for inspiring me to bring those out again and marvel at them. You can find me at Nicole Rovine everywhere on Instagram and Twitter and TikTok. And just follow us and on social media, everything. And we're going to be doing a lot of stuff this year, and I'm excited. So follow us for SNL stuff, comedy stuff, everything.
Yeah, very pumped for everything that's coming up this year. Sammy, always a pleasure to get to talk to you. Looking forward to continuing to do that. So Sammy, where can the listeners find everything you got going on?
John, the show tonight was super fun. You guys can find me at that Sammy Kay on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And also, if you have not gotten the chance to watch the latest Superfan Takeover, it's a little bit outdated. We talked about predictions going into season 48 on potential cast members leaving and stuff. If you still want to get some preseason content, go check that out. And if you have any ideas for future topics you'd want us to talk about, feel free to hit me up on Twitter and all the other socials.
Yeah, it was a super fun takeover tonight. Okay, TJ, over to you for your plugs. Where can everybody check out what you got going on?
Well, guys, I have a 15-ish minute podcast called Rabbit Trail. There is a train going on right next to me.
Rabbit Train.
You can Rabbit Train, yeah. So it's a 15-minute podcast. We talk about whatever topics. This past week, actually, on Monday, we did an episode on cars. So if you like Lightning McQueen and Fast and the Furious, we might talk about that. Who knows? It's 15 minutes. We've had wonderful guests on it, even from this very network. We've had John has been on it, Nicole has been on it, Sean Grant has been on it, and one of our favorite listeners, Manette, has been on it. And coming up next week, actually doing the unofficial anniversary of the launch of Rabbit Trail, is our very own Rebecca North is going to be on our podcast next week. I'm just telling her this now because I was just checking my calendar. But we will be talking about Bo Burnham. So if you'd like to do that, you can find our podcast at We Are Rabbit Trail on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can also just search Rabbit Trail, and you can find it on any podcasting app. Hope you take a listen.
Okay, sounds great. Looking forward to listening to that. Bill. Oh yeah, sorry.
Wait, hold on.
TJ,
more. You can find me. I forgot. Oh, you can find me at King Compliment on Instagram and Twitter.
Sounds good. Okay, Bill Kenney, it's so great to go into year 3 with you, and it was a pleasure to talk to you earlier in the week on our preseason roundtable. Where can the listeners check out everything you got going on?
This was a lot of fun. I know we have a lot of coverage, but I feel like we should do a draft a month. Maybe we can just do other stuff like cheese or, favorite weather.
Cheese.
Okay.
I got
Maybe
picked
that'll
on
be the
the
super fan.
Mix it up a little.
Maybe that'll be the super fan takeover, guys. Yeah.
Or someone should do a draft by themselves, and you do the 4 options for the weather, and you just go one by one. And
Yes.
You just want a panelist to predict the weather.
Just to rank the weather. Rank
the weather.
All right, let's let Bill do his plugs. But
Patreon ideas. I'll rank
Yes.
the weather on
Yes.
Patreon.
Sounds good. Over to Bill to finish his plugs.
You can follow me on Twitter or Instagram at BKLove73.
Okay, great. And I would like to know if there's only 4 options for the weather. That was an interesting thing. We'll talk about that after the podcast. Haskell, always adding some levity to everything we're doing over here. Looking forward to talking to you and also Nicole on the Hot Take Show this Saturday night. So that'll be very fun. But where can the listeners check you out for now?
Twitter and Instagram, Andrew E. Haskell. I always have stand-up dates around the New England area, and the Saturday Night Network has already promised they're going to buy my special, Andrew Haskell, Here I Go Again, as a Patreon exclusive, so keep an eye out for that one.
Can't wait for that. Okay. Over to our other Andrew Haynes. Great job tonight, Haynes. Where can the listeners check out everything you're doing? And so excited to be with you for year number 3.
Yeah, thank you so much. So glad to be back for year number 3. On Twitter at SNL Has a Cast and Instagram at Candrew Attitude. I'm still proud of that pun to this day. It's really all I've got going for me at this point. Love being on with you guys. Yeah, that's where you can find me. Thanks for having me. Love it.
Yeah, you still have all your family's pineapple stuff, so don't forget that.
That's true.
Yeah. Okay. And finally, over to Rebecca Noor. Thanks for joining us. So glad that your first maiden voyage into the draft went well. So where can the listeners check out everything you got going on?
Well, I'm honored to be the first second round pick of people to be on this draft. So thank you for having me. You can follow me anywhere at Rebrarbecue, Instagram, Twitter. I've been off of TikTok for 3 months, but I might relapse soon. So at Rebrarbecue on TikTok as well. And yeah, check me out whenever I'm on the Saturday Night Network.
Very excited to get to hear from you all season. And finally, over to me. So I would like to just say, yeah, we're still at the SNL Network on social platforms. You can find out everything we're doing over there. You can find me at Jon Schneider 24 if you'd like to talk to me about anything. And of course, if I haven't told you before, we have a jam-packed lineup of podcasts coming up this coming week. Saturday night, join us right after the show, after the premiere with Miles Teller and Kendrick Lamar for the Hot Take Show. We'll be live to break down all of the sketches. Monday night, we will be live at 8 p.m. Eastern for our roundtable, where we will dive deep into some of the best sketches of the week. Next Wednesday night, Nicole and Mike Murray will be live at, I believe, 8:30. Time TBD will let you know, to talk about all of the analytics from the first week of the show. And next Thursday night, I will be live with some patrons to answer questions from all of you, and look forward to the following week with host Brendan Gleeson and musical guest Willow. All right, I want to thank all of our panelists for joining us tonight on the show, and everybody in the chat for hanging out with us on this Wednesday night. Can't wait for season 48 to start. This is the last time I will say this before the start of the season, but I hope everyone has a great week ahead. We will see you next time, everybody. Have a good one.